This program is designed to provide general information with regards to the subject matters covered. This information is given with the understanding that neither the hosts, guests, sponsors, or station are engaged in rendering any specific and personal, medical, financial, legal, counseling, professional service, or any advice. You should seek the services of competent professionals before applying or trying any suggested ideas.
Hey there, it's Brian Sebastian, movie reviews and more. And if it's Tuesday, that means, first of all, it's Giving Tuesday. You got to give it to your favorite charity, no matter what it may be. Ours is Dream Weaver Arts, Dream Weaver Artist Ranch. Carol Register will talk about hers. I'm sure Stephanie has one. I'm sure Ronnie has one. So when it comes to this, we're live on Talk 4 TV, Talk 4 Media, K4HD Radio, and streaming on over 100 outlets around the world right now. So I'm not going to do an introduction tonight because I know exactly what's going to happen tonight. I'm going with it. Anytime we can have Howard, our friend Howard, one of the littlest leading 35 interior designers in our collector and the dapper man that he is from Nashville, Tennessee, he may be going in and out. So I'm aware of that, what's happening now. See, he's shaking because there's a secret about him that we can't tell you about his internet, but it's funny. And why we have him. Howard, if we have you, let me introduce you now just in case we lose you later. Tell everybody who you are.
I'm Howard Wiggins. Like you said, one of the top 35 leading interior designers in the world. I'm listed in Andrew Martin, volume 3. I don't know what's wrong with my voice tonight. But anyway, actor, dancer, model, of course, co-host on movies, reviews, and more. You can follow me on Facebook and see me from there.
All right, Register, go for it.
I'm Carol Register. I take women from 6 figures to 7+ figures, guaranteed. And I'm a neuro coach. I do it by the Neuro Wealth Method. I also co-host not only this show with Brian and Howard and Rachel and Terri and all of the wonderful people, all of Nathasha, all of the wonderful co-hosts on here. But I also co-host the Unleash and Unstoppable podcast. We're in our 3rd season, over 150 episodes, top rated. We talk about all things neuroscience, the neuroscience of leadership, health, and wealth. And I love it. I absolutely love it.
See, and I love that because I think almost every day, except for today, I always call Carol to see how she's doing. Rachel, Terri, it's like the 3 of us who talk. Occasionally, Howard will call me, and occasionally I'll call him because I already know he's doing well. He's usually dancing with somebody out there. That's why. So I don't have to call him every day like I have to do with everybody else. And then we have Stefani. So anybody who could send me an apple pie is okay in my book. She literally sent me one, and it was very good. It's in the top 3. I had one sent from Australia. Wow. I had one sent from Boston, and hers is in the top 3. So, wow, Stefani, tell everybody who you are, where you're coming from in Missouri, and about relationship, because this is interesting, followed by Ronnie.
Yes. Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me on, Brian. I'm Stefani Seek. I'm in St. Louis, Missouri. Quite the flyover state, but we have some cool things in St. Louis, like toasted ravioli, Emo's Pizza, flat cracker pizza. I am a love coach. I am an ex-corporate sales executive turned love and relationship coach, because in all those years of sales and working with sales teams and leading them, it all came down to relationships and how we communicate. I faced some adversity. By the age of 44, I had been married and divorced twice. I say that with no shame. And I help women overcome the shame or disappointment of divorce, or the disappointment that they still haven't met the love of their life. Surprisingly, I have more and more men coming to me as well for help. So, we all deep down crave someone who gets us for us, who loves us for who we are, our authentic self, the I am of ourselves, no matter what we do for a living or the characteristics we bring to the table. And people just sometimes need help unwinding all of that past pain, those past habits, to move into a fully satisfying relationship. And it's never too late. It's never too late for new love. I finally met the love of my life. We've now been together happily for 4 years. It can be done. It can be done, everyone. So I just released my new book. It came out in February. Carol and I were at one of the events, Emmys related event, where I was able to gift it to celebrities and media. It's called Your Love Compass, a woman's unconventional guide to dating and relationships. And we talk all things love and dating, the juicy stuff, the hard stuff, the mindset stuff. And I love the work that I do.
I love that. See, when she said she was in a good relationship, I thought she was talking about me. After all, she did send me an apple pie. What blonde woman from Missouri is the black guy at apple pie from Los Angeles who happened to be in Georgia? Nobody. So there you go. So this other young lady, Ronnie, is fascinating to me. I love her. I didn't know I was always listening to her husband all the time too. So Ronnie, tell everybody where you're coming from, because we met with Michael Whitehouse, who Carol knows. So almost every Friday when we can pop on, I might see Ronnie, I might see Ron Wyatt, I might see Michael and a few other people, and I like it because it's really intimate, and I like that setting, and I like that group, and that's where I met Ronnie. All right, Ronnie, we were talking about you being on at least 3 months ago, and here it is. And I always tell people time flies fast. Let me schedule in, because we're going September on our bookings right now, and if I don't put you in, someone else calls me right away, and it's gone. So Ronnie, it seemed like it was a long time ago, and it was, but here it is tonight. So,
really,
Ronnie,
it's already
welcome.
tax day.
Go ahead.
Tax day, and we were talking in the holidays. So I feel like so much of everything that I just heard from Howard and Carol and you, Stephanie, just resonates. Like, wow, you just touched about so many things in my life. I met my husband, Rob Archer, who's a news anchor here in Los Angeles. That's where I am. I'm in La La Land. And we met at work, but he was in another marriage, and so was I at the time, Stephanie. And you're right. I'm in my late 50s, and it's not only never too late, it's great when you start really growing up. And it's true. You just really want somebody to love you for who you are. But anyway, we could go all of that. But we met 10 years ago. Well, no, we didn't. We started dating 10 years ago, and we've been married for 7 years. And Carol's my middle name, by the way.
Yeah.
We're talking about when you're talking about neuroscience and all of that. I'm like, yes, that's my jam. I'm a habit coach. I'm a certified habit coach. I used to be a journalist. I was a reporter anchor in San Diego and here in Los Angeles. That's a long story of how I evolved into becoming a master certified professional coach. And now I'm a certified habit coach. But when I became, because of health reasons, a personal trainer in 2011, I really set out to be the biggest advocate for women at the time, but women and men, to be as fit as that person could be. And 99% of my work, and I became a personal trainer because of my own health questions, and I became my own self-help advocate, and the corrective exercise specialist who I was assigned to by my doctor was like, you need to become a personal trainer. I'm like, I'm in my mid-40s. Who does that? She's like, you're your own walking billboard. You've healed. I mean, within 2 weeks of working with a corrective exercise specialist, I used to be like an aerobics queen. Remember that? Now it's called cardio. I started training, right? I started strength training and really advocated for myself because 2 Beverly Hills doctors wanted to fuse my spine. I never got the surgery. I became a personal trainer because I was so into it. And I asked so many questions like, you need to become a personal trainer because people can relate to you. And now I'm almost 60 years old. And at the time, 99% of my work was mindset. Like Stephanie said, it's all mindset work. And even back then, I realized with my clients at the time, it was working with their habits and their habitual way of thinking. Long story short, gonna wind it up, is when COVID happened, everything closed here. We couldn't go to private studios. We couldn't go to their homes. Went on Zoom, started, training people, and people were asking me, so-and-so isn't really taking care of herself. So-and-so isn't working out. I'm like, I thought everybody bought a Peloton. So I was like, well, do you want me to talk to her? So I started talking to people, and we really found out it wasn't because they were too busy, they didn't have time. It was anxious times. It was other things, their mindset. So I helped them figure out how they could work out, when they could work out, how they could fit fitness in their lives. And people would tell me, you should really become a coach. Fast forward, I started looking into it because at the time I was like, what the heck's a life coach, you know? And I looked into it, got serious, got certified, went up in levels, and I have been helping men and women in different areas of their life, from career to their health to their wellness, and they're all aspects are subsets of the other. And at the time, I started seeing that I was always inserting their habits, little things, little tiny actions. Don't take big chunks of things you want to do to get to your goals. One tiny action, and it becomes a habit. It becomes your identity. It's part of who you are. And then the more I kept reading, the more research I kept doing, I realized there is such a thing as certified habit coaches. So I went to school, got certified, and that's how I became a habit coach.
See, that's all great. That's why, like women. So Howard, I'm going to go to you because Howard is about being happy. He's walked a lot. He'll tell that story, and he likes to dance a lot, and it's always about that. And I love the relationship that he has with his wife. Bill McCarty, welcome to Movie Reviews and More. Oh, one of Ronnie's fans. Hey, so Rebel, you had a question. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I think I misheard. Ronnie, did you say you were how old?
Well, right now I'm 59 and a half. Remember when we were little?
No way. Wait, hold on. Let me see that.
Gorgeous.
Absolutely. You don't look that age at all.
I'm going to take that good instead of well. And I love you. Thank you for saying that, because I'm in better health now than I was, I think, in my 30s. I really do. I really do take care of myself. But that's just it. My mission as a trainer was to help somebody be as fit as that particular person could be, as fit as you can be. No cookie cutters. You can go online and just, follow a YouTube, or here's a workout, count reps. It's how fit can you be? And that's when I started really advocating for people to speak up to their doctors, especially women. And men don't go to the doctors. Would you guys please go to the doctors when something hurts? But
that's true.
Women just kind of really executive women, actresses, producers, directors, C-suite, really high-powered, intelligent women, they'll go to the doctors, and it's the lab coat syndrome. They just, they would come back to me, well, my doctor told me this, told me that. Well, did you ask why? No. Why do you have to take that medicine? I don't know. You didn't ask? No. It's like, just believe our doctors. And I love doctors. My dad was a doctor, but we have to ask why and advocate to know why and advocate for our health. It's not always just hormones, or you need more rest or eat better. So that's what I learn, and I advocate, and I really want people to ask more questions and dig deep and get second and third opinions. Anyway, I could do a whole thing on that.
Definitely. That is so true. I definitely advise everyone to ask your doctor if he believes in the standard of care. And if they do, walk out and find you a new doctor that doesn't. I tell people, you couldn't drive me if you tried, okay? Standard of care. Nobody hardly ever knows how to drive a standard these days. There is no such thing.
Yeah, that's a good point at that. Hey, Stefani, talk about this. Oh, I'm sorry, Ronnie, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say to Ronnie, the quality of your life is dependent on the quality of your questions. So advocating for women to use their voice, speak up for themselves is monumental. It's a huge part of the work I do, and so important because, the white coat syndrome is a thing. It really is a thing. And being able to, find out the information that you need, seek a second opinion, has been critical in my own healthcare. And I think it's such a beautiful point. So I appreciate you bringing that up.
Yeah. And Carol, I can actually segue off of that, because women, especially women who have more tendency to be a people pleaser.
Yeah.
They don't ask the questions. And so if we're talking about doctors, or if we're talking being on a date, often women want to please. They want to have a pleasing conversation. They want to be pleasant. And sometimes we're just too darn pleasant. And we need to lean in and say, tell me more about that. Curiosity is one of the tools I use when I'm coaching women dating and men, because sometimes someone will say something and you might have a little yellow flag go up or a red flag or just think, I wonder why they said that. But instead we stay quiet and we gloss over, or we immediately go into our story instead of pausing and being intentional and saying, I would like to understand more. Why did you say that? We can do that with doctors. We can do that with all kinds of service professionals, anyone we're buying services from, but also in dating. So Brian, I know you had something to ask, but I had to weave that in there.
No, that's perfect. That's what it's always about. The more part of stuff. Stephanie, you were just speaking at an event. Talk about that.
The event that I just spoke at.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I've actually been speaking at quite a few events and quite a few podcasts. The event I just spoke at, it was on International Women's Day, the Heart of Missouri Women's Show. And we were talking about using your voice, using how you speak to yourself. And Ronnie, this goes into your work. Carol, this goes into your work. The language we speak to ourselves inside of our own heads, that's where our relationship starts. It's very difficult to show up as your authentic self if you are unclear about who you are inside of your own head. When you pause to observe, we always have an inside talker. You're taking a shower, you're driving the car. There's this voice inside of your head. And sometimes we're not consciously aware of what's happening. And, research shows that we have about 70,000 thoughts a day, if you can believe that. Wow. And around 80% of them can be negative, and they're usually directed at ourselves. Yeah. So what I spoke about, Brian, at the event was just to to notice, do an audit. What am I saying inside of my own head about myself? It could be in the context of your body. Like Ronnie, right? Like women will say, I'm fat, or I'm never going to lose weight, or I feel tired all the time. Well, if you say you feel tired all the time, guess what? You're going to be tired all the time. Your brain is going to believe that. Your subconscious will believe it, and you will manifest that to be true. Yeah. And so in dating and relationships, it's amazing how many women are out there, especially in our 40s, 50s, 60s, who say there are no good men, or vice versa, no good women. They all want someone younger, richer, prettier, whatever that might be. If you buy into that self-talk, it will manifest in your reality. So just pick three things. Notice 3 negative things you say a day and flip it. Flip it to something kinder, more gentle, and give yourself some grace. So that I do love talking to, especially women, about that, Brian, but I think everyone needs to hear that message.
And on top of that, Stephanie, I find a lot of people, especially women, because I work with a lot of women, but men as well. It's not so much the positive Pollyanna, kick your heels 3 times and make these affirmations that you don't believe. It really is about, I call it thought work. It's like your reaction or your behavior or your inaction, which is action, especially like when you're on a date or you're starting to date again, or your health or your career, whatever it is, whatever your behavior is, we're in the habit of being a certain way with certain people. I know I was different when I was on a date than I am with a friend, or I'm different with my husband as I am with somebody I'm coaching. So we're in the habit of being and expressing ourselves differently depending on who we're with, our boss or our team or whatever. But also, whatever you're acting or you're reacting, if you don't like how you're acting or reacting, look at the emotion. Do I feel joy? Am I at peace? Am I content? Am I angry? Is it fear? Is it doubt? Is it despair? What is it? Okay. And whatever emotion we have at that moment, there's a thought behind it, whether we realize it or not, even if it's a lightning fast thought. Yeah. And then coming back to what Stefani said, rather than just give yourself, I'm $1 million maker goddess or something. And if you doubt it, if there's one grain of sand of doubt, like, no, you're not, then your brain, our lizard brain, looks to prove that negativity. But instead, give yourself a real truthful fact. Say it out loud that you will believe. You do believe, because it's a fact about you and it's more positive. So I help people in that way to give yourself, what's the truth? Is that the truth? Well, is that the truth? And then when you say it out loud, you confirm it, not just affirm. I believe in confirmation of a truth rather than affirmations, because then your brain will go, yep, noted. It'll hear it. Yep, noted. You're right. And it believes it. So start confirming your strengths. Start confirming your values. What do you value? What do you consider valuable? Start confirming why you are capable of something, your proven capabilities, and then remind yourself of those, because your brain will go, true, and all your wins, celebrate them, even the tiniest little win. Like, I finally got on this camera when it wasn't working. Yeah, a win, I made it happen. But because then your brain will go, yeah, you're right, capable. I do that a lot with eating habits, by the way, and fitness habits. Like, if one tiny little action, just celebrate it, and then your brain will go, capable, noted, true.
Yeah.
And Howard,
I love that.
you know,
Yeah.
as these two women are talking about that, I'm thinking of Howard, because Howard's always happy. When he dances, women are attracted to him. He's happily married. You would know it. But, you know, because he just goes and does his
What does
thing.
that mean?
He, you know, he's got this thing. I like who I am, and I worked hard to be who I am. Howard, I'm putting words in your mouth. Stop me,
Well-
Howard. Howard, talk. Go ahead.
Well, I've changed my life 3 times. I used to be shy. I got over being shy. I used to be fat. I got over being fat. I think recognize what you don't like about yourself and change it. When I turned 60, I walked 55 and a half miles in one day.
Wow.
And I did, and I could have done more, but my phone kept running out and I had to keep charging my phone. I could outlast my phone. But if I'm determined to do something, I'm determined to do it, and I just do it. And I think I could even do that today at 70, almost 72. I bet I could do it again if I wanted to, but I just got to take the time to do it. But I just think I can do anything I want to do. It's just like the only person stopping you is you. You know, nobody else is stopping you. Nobody's paying attention to you, but you're paying attention to you. And I feel like I've been in retail sales all my life. In retail sales, the more you make a person excited and enjoy it and explain the process of why they should do it, it's easy. I mean, every day when I make sales, I get hugs or thank you. At work, they want me to write thank you notes. I said, I'm not doing it. If I'm doing my job right, they're going to thank me. I'm not going to thank them. I'm the one that helped them, you know, and they do. So I just refuse to write thank you notes.
Hey, Howard, tell him what room you're in. Hey, Robert, let's
I'm
get a
in-
close up of her room. His room.
I'm in the living room, and I collect art. I collect
That
antiques.
is not a living room. That's
It
a
is a
mansion.
living room. It is a living room. But that's another thing I'm going to do. I think I'm going to, I'm 72. I think I'm going to change my life again. I'm going to make some major decisions and go with it. I don't know exactly where I'm going, but I'm going to do it. So we're going to see what's going to happen. So, you know.
That's amazing.
That's
Yeah.
super exciting.
Better than a man who loves to dance. Woo.
Yeah. You know, you guys brought up a couple of, oh, go ahead, Howard. You brought up a couple of really good points. So
I've always loved to dance, and like Brian says, I'm happy, but you wouldn't know it. My wife's let me be me, and she's who she is, and then we are who we are together. I love to dance. That's how I got my confidence in myself as dancing. So I go out dancing with all these women all the time, but I always come home to her, and they know that they're just my friends. So nothing ever becomes of it. It's just they're my friends. And
Except
she comes
if Dolly Parton comes to his door, that's the one exception,
well, that's
right?
a different case. That's a different case, and she knows that.
Hey, Stephanie, talk about this. You know why I hate the date? Because the first date that I went on in California, I had no idea. I didn't know about AA. I didn't know about being a vegan. I didn't know about a woman who didn't drink alcohol. I had no idea coming from Connecticut. And I said, what is this about? There's no rule book on any of this stuff. And so I'm like, this is terrible. Had I had known this, I didn't know what to do. So my thing is when I have there's a lot of women reaching out to because what we're doing. It's just, but it's one of those things where what Howard said and what Ronnie said, because that journalist in you never leaves Ronnie. First of all, you could say you're retired, but you're not me. But it's one of those things where you want that person that you could go and travel with, that you could just hang out with, you could just be with. That's what I like. And the less drama, the better for me, because I don't have any of that stuff. That's why I can just pick up and go where I want to go, and I like that. it's not easy these days, especially with anxiety and a lot of depression going on, you know?
Yeah.
Well, and on top of that, I'd love Stephanie because I know she's going to answer you. But I found, so what do you think of this, Stephanie? My husband and I were friends for like
Yes.
buddies, and we would talk about each other's dates, before we ever got together. But if he and I went on a dating app, he and I never would have been matched by the algorithms ever. But we became such close friends. And all these guys that I matched, I realized they were trying to conform to what I said that I liked in my profile. And I realized I was deep down kind of trying to conform so that they would like me, even though I said I want to be myself. I was really trying to conform to, I hope he likes me. So what do you think of that? My husband and I never would have been matched. And yet we're the best.
Oh, I love that. And I think, Ronnie, to your point, and then to Brian's point, there's no one clear path. There is no, what would you call it? Like a golden coin that says this is what you have to do, because it's all in the reality that you're creating. So Ronnie, there was something about you and your husband that there was just this energy between you that brought you together as friends, and it developed into romance. I also know people, myself included, that did meet someone on a dating app, and Facebook, I'll tell you what, Facebook dating doesn't have any algorithms, in my opinion. They just give you whatever's on there. And so it's all about the work that you're doing before you're dating or while you're dating to define, how do I want to feel in a relationship? It wasn't until I started doing that and figuring that out and teaching other people to do it. Because then, Brian, to your point, you end up talking about, are you vegan? Do you drink wine? Do you not drink wine? And you want to go into dating with an intention of, here's how I want to feel. A lot of women, especially, will create a vision board, and they'll put like, he drives this kind of car, he has this kind of job, this is what he does, right? And Brian, I'm sure you've been like the recipient of that. And men do it too, though. Men will be like, I only want someone who's 5'8" and has to have blonde hair and long legs. And we hold ourselves to these physical standards, where I have found that when people break that cycle and they actually get intentional and start writing out, I want to feel cherished. I want to feel like my partner hears me. It's important to me that I feel taken care of, treated like a lady. Some women don't want that. Some women don't. They want very equal. It's all about how you want to feel. And then leaning into that when you're dating. So Ronnie, for you and your husband, it sounds like you both probably subconsciously had this, I just want to feel safe. I want to someone I can feel safe with. And that's where a friendship really can blossom. And Brian, who knows what your criteria is? I'd love to hear it. I'm sure.
Oh, all right. So I'll tell you what I always wanted. I always knew I was going to end up with two women, but I said, if she's bisexual, I'm cool with that. I can stay home and watch my movies, and she can go out and have fun because I know she's coming back to me. That's what I wanted at one point. No, now it's always about the friendship, being able to travel with that person and be able to talk to them about stuff and not be jealous of all the people that come in. Because, and Ronnie and her husband know these things, living in Los Angeles, interviewing celebrities, you learn a lot by sitting down and talking to them one-on-one. One moment, I'm thinking of Tom Cruise. One moment you're with Nicole Kidman. And then, they break up, and then you're interviewing both people. The next minute they're with Katie. And then the next movie, they've got somebody else. And so I'm like, I don't want to be that person. So I learned by what I didn't want to be by interviewing all of them. And then, I just remember, I love Halle. Halle Berry's a good friend. But, every time she came in for a movie, she had just broken up with someone. And I would feel the pain. I'm like, I don't ever want to have to go through that,
Mm-hmm.
And that made me sad. She's one of the most beautiful women in the world, but I just felt the pain of the last breakup she went through as she's sitting next to me, And I said, I never want to go through that. I want to be like Howard, going out and have my freedom, because I need to go to the movies. I just need 2 hours. That's my thing. And then we can go out and we can do whatever you want to do, or we can go and take a trip to Paris if you want. I'm open to that.
Well, there's a declarative statement you have to make. You get to the point where you're like, I'm tired of this. I have focused for so long on what I don't want. Brian, that's what you just said. You observed all these things that went wrong for all these wonderful celebrities and friends that you have, and you started to make a really long list of I don't want this. But we have to flip it to here's what I do want, and here's what feels good. And I'm not going to focus on the fear of getting what I don't want, because if I stay in that place, that's just who I'm going to keep drawing in.
Yeah.
But if I have the courage to say, here's what I do want, I'm going to have the belief that it's coming to me. There's a lot of other things that need to happen, right? Self-talk, how you portray yourself when you're putting yourself out there. You have to say to the universe, I'm willing to be findable. I want to be findable. And here's what I want. Here's how I want to feel. And then that's when the magic starts to happen. And the whole independent thing, I remember I declared to my therapist after my second divorce, I was a little frustrated, and I said, I just want a damn rock star. Sure enough, like 3 months later, I meet a musician. He's an actor and a singer and a songwriter. And I literally and I was in that point, it was just a complete passion statement. It came from deep in my soul. And I didn't know at the time exactly how literal that would be, but you have to get to that point where you're just like, I declare it and I have faith in it and I believe in it. And that's where you start to see the transformation happen.
I'm sure, Stephanie, you also started living that way. I really believe in now, after my 12-year marriage, 11 years too long. I was married once before. Be the person that attracts the type of person you want. So if you live your life, and I know it's easy to say, but if you live in your integrity, and it takes a lot of years to finally be that vulnerable and that self-confident. That doesn't mean we all think we're rock stars, but I believe in my integrity and my value, who I am. So be the kind of woman that would attract the type of man that you want, or that attract the type of partner that you want. Be that way. So many people are afraid to be the type of person that attracts the type of person they want. Does that make sense?
Said. Really well said. Yes.
Yeah. That was a lot of what I agree with all of that, because it was one of the things where I knew everything. It seems like everything I knew was in my sophomore year in high school. I don't know how I knew the things that I knew that were going to play out the way it did. I said I wasn't going to be married until I was 32. I wasn't going to have kids until I was 32. When I was in California, I'm like, oh, there's no way I'm having kids here with all the stuff that's going on. So I couldn't have done what I wanted to do by being married and having kids. So I sacrificed. That was my sacrifice. Now that I don't have to worry about all that, now I am open and receptive to having these things come. That was my thing, because I didn't want to be that statistic, another statistic where, the average Black guy, he's been married twice and's got 3.5 kids.
Yeah.
I didn't want to be that guy, because I saw all of that stuff. So what Stephanie, like you were saying, I knew exactly what I didn't want to have. So I was waiting for the one person, and I'm patient enough to do that. So I'm happy with that, because I say, how many people are happy? Yeah. You ask me if I'm happy. I'm like, hell yeah, I'm happy. I can do whatever I want to do. If I wanted to go see Howard tomorrow, I'm going to go see him. If I wanted to go to Florida to see Carol, I can go. But a lot of people can't do that. So this is why Movie Reviews and More is set out to have people like you guys on and talking about the stuff. I love when Carol comes on. She helps take a lot of the pressure off me just by her being here. And I can't wait to go see her when she goes back to Chile.
Thank you. Yeah, I have a boutique hotel in Chile. It's a retreat center. We do eco and nature-centered retreats. It's in the Andes Mountains. And we're surrounded by one of 5 large lakes and 4 glacier-covered volcanoes. So if you're interested, definitely reach out. I think it's so relevant, too, about the kind of people that we're attracting based on who we are. It's such an important point, because clients I work with who are not yet grounded in their worthiness, in their self-worth, in their knowing how valuable they are and who they really are, who have left very damaging relationships, have continued to attract those as we work through the process to help them to unwind those patterns and those stories, so that they are attracting the kind of people into their life that they genuinely deserve, based on you know, how fabulous they are. So I love that point.
That's spot on, Carol. Oh, go ahead.
I think don't go looking for love. Let love find you.
Mm,
Because I mean, when you're looking for love, it won't come. You just got to make yourself happy and find someone to share that happiness with. When you're looking for it, you're looking at the wrong things. You're not looking at what's obviously wrong with the relationship. You're making it that dream relationship you see in your head. That's not going to happen. You've got to make your own self happy and then find somebody to share you with. And they will.
I agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
Howard, I'd like to share something that you made me think of a few years ago. I don't even remember how long ago, maybe 5 years ago. My husband wrote a poem. He loves to write. And he posted it without telling me. It was this, he started off with, I never truly thought I would fall in love again. Because I'm his third and last wife. Okay. But the end line was like made me swoon. Seriously. I was like, oh, because he said something about Ronnie, and he said, I didn't know she was what I was looking for. No, I didn't know Ronnie was what I was looking for until she found me.
Mm-hmm.
Ah, that's beautiful.
That's beautiful.
That is beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We weren't looking for each other. We were looking for love. We were confidants into each other, and really, we found each other because we became best buddies. We would giggle. We accepted each other because we weren't trying to date each other, if that makes sense. And then one day I was like, "Oh, I felt the heebie-jeebies and the little
the chills, the goosebumps."
Well, to Howard, to your point, Ronnie, and Howard, to your point, we can't say on a date. It's my least favorite dating question. I have to throw it out there because so many coaches say to use it. And it's, so what are you looking for? It is a terrible question. I have an entire chapter dedicated it in my book, because had I shown up to my first date with Joe, who's now the love of my life, and he said, "What are you looking for?" And if I would have listed it all off, he would have run the other way because he wouldn't have been ready to receive it, right, Howard? You can't create this formula and say, you know, I want this and I want to be married by this and I want to have kids. It was through Joe's and I developing that friendship, even though we were pretty hot to trot for each other right off the bat, Ronnie, I have to admit that. But we really developed a deep connection emotionally. And little by little, you know, he would have sworn off ever living with a woman because he's an artist. He's up at 3 a.m. writing music, all of that good stuff. And 4 years in, he looked at me in December and he said, I can't live with another day without being under the same roof with you. I really want to be with you. That wouldn't have happened. We wouldn't have had that conversation on the first date or even in the first year. You grow together, right?
So what do you think of dating, those speed dating things then?
I think any mode is fine. It just has to feel authentic to you, to the point that you're all making in this great conversation is, does it feel authentic? Could you go on a speed date and have some fun with it and not take it too seriously and just see where it goes? Great. Then that might be a mode for you. If you feel like, I kind of like swiping through profiles, it's kind of fun. It should feel fun. It should feel light. It should feel easy. If it feels like a heavy burden, it's probably not the dating mode for you. And there's different modes you can explore.
Hey, Stefani, talk about this because, go ahead. Go ahead.
I have a lot of single girlfriends and they all stay at home and wait for Prince Charming. And I'm like, if you want to find a guy, at least go out where guys are. You know, he's not going to come and knock on your door and you're in the kitchen and say, will you marry me? No, it's not going to happen. So put yourself in a situation, not necessarily a dating situation. It can be a social situation where you're meeting different people and also through friends, not just through strangers, because friends know you and they know who would be a good fit for you better than you know yourself. So I think it's just old-fashioned way. Just put yourself out there and let it happen.
Well, Howard, I love that. I have a lot of my clients, I call it varying your routine. So do you go to the same Starbucks every morning? Pick a different coffee shop. Go
Exactly.
into it, look around, talk to the barista, talk to the guy who's just sitting there, not in a dating mode, but just how's your day going? Because then that opens up possibilities. And then Howard, you can organically meet somebody. And that's fun.
I sold my wife something. That's how I met her. You know.
Really?
But yeah, but I knew. I have to admit it. I'm very materialistic. Always have been, and I don't deny it.
Well,
But
look at your living room.
I know, exactly. That's
and
just
she
one
was-
room.
and she was too. When she looked at things, it wasn't just looking at things. I mean, she admired things, and she had the appreciation for beauty, and I could see that in her, and that drew me to her, because most people are around beauty and they don't see it. I mean, they wouldn't know it if it hit them in the face. So
You remember
that bond was there to start with. I mean, she's
Yeah.
different, like I'm different.
Yeah.
Remember the old days when you could actually go to the movie theaters and take someone, which was not always the right place to go, but at least you could take them someplace. But the thing is, now people aren't really going to the movies anymore. So Stephanie and Ronnie, where are they going now to kind of meet?
Well, I
Besides
like that
Starbucks.
you like the movies because you felt that chemistry. Like, should I hold her hand or not? Or you were sitting next to each other, and the arms brushed. Now it's like, yeah, you're right. It's like, what do you do? So, but I wanted to add a little something to that. Like Stephanie said, the Starbucks. I love Italy. Italy's like my favorite country in the world. I love France as well. But when I go to Europe, not like I fly every weekend, but when I go to Europe, and we just went in the fall, people flirt. They flirt with your grandmother. I mean,
That's
they flirt
true.
with, flirt with each other.
That's
They're
true.
flirtatious. And here we're kind of guarded. Maybe because I live in Los Angeles, I'm always in my car. But when you're in a flirtatious kind of mode, even with the barista, you give off that vibe. You're just joie de vivre. You know what I mean? When I'm in a good mood, all of a sudden I'm attracting people, just people. I'm not saying men. I'm just saying people. And I find, like, you know what? When I don't go out that much because I coach virtually, but when I haven't been out in a while, I'm in my own little cave, I find that I'm more closed in. So yeah, get out. That's the thing. We don't get out as much anymore, at least not in LA.
Yeah.
Very
And,
true.
and it's true. I mean, I it's funny. I found out as I'm going to visit my friends, I'm seeing, and Howard's right. When I go to Tennessee, I'm like, they have more single women there than any state that I've ever seen, because they all flocked to Nashville, which was interesting. And I was like, you guys need to go, like Stephanie said, you guys need to go outside of that to find these guys, because a lot of them haven't gotten there yet in general. But I'm like, wow, my head is turning. Like, wow, the guys they don't know about you guys here yet. So I'm telling them, I think you better go to Nashville. They're not in Vegas. They're not in Los Angeles anymore. They're in Tennessee right now, and some in Georgia. It's really interesting.
Yeah, and so many dates revolve around alcohol. Let's go get a drink. And people are tired of that.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of day dates. Time box it and say we're going to go from noon to 1:30, and we're going to go hit a few golf balls, even if you're not golfers. Or you don't want to do this until you feel safe with someone. There has to be some degree of safety, but taking a walk in a public place, a very public park, like, let's just walk and talk and get to know each other. It's up to both men and women to suggest some more creative ideas. I mean, even there's a Top Golf in pretty much every city. I'm not a golfer. I would not impress my date if I had to do that. But we do have to get creative. Even a silly old fashioned bowling date. Let's just go to the bowling alley and throw a few balls.
Just put miniature golf.
Yeah.
And
Those
Ronnie,
are great places to go.
Yeah. And Ronnie, when you get into your physical body, you get out of your head. And then you can be more authentically you because you're doing an activity together. And then your personality can shine, and you're not so wrapped up in what am I going to say.
I do like what you said earlier, Ronnie, about you touched on the point that everything always goes back to a thought. And I really appreciate that too, because what a lot of people don't realize is that a thought fires and then the emotion fires within microseconds, right? So we can't separate them always when we're feeling these strong emotions. And when you're putting yourself out there and being vulnerable, going into situations that are maybe stretchy, doing new creative things, like you're talking about, Stefani, for dating, those emotions can really hit, and that inner critic can speak up, like, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? I'm not feeling comfortable here. And I think that's such an important point, to be able to arrest that and pattern interrupt that, so that we can make the decisions that we want to make, and have fun, get the results that we'd like to have. So,
But
yeah.
Terri, you also made me think of something. We're also I'm gonna say I think subconsciously we all have some sort of bias. People can be critical of other people, especially when they're dating. It's like, give them a break. They're probably nervous too, or maybe you'll like them after you get to know them. We're very critical as well. I know that a lot of my girlfriends, after post-divorce, they were very critical of somebody they just started dating the first, second, third date. It's like, give them a break. I don't mean like, don't look at the red flags. I don't mean that. I mean the little things, little quirks. Realize their quirk is your problem. It's a you problem. Let him be who he is, because that's who he's going to be the rest of his life. So you also have things that people might not like, little quirks. I mean, we can just don't be so critical of people.
No, it's not possible. No. Who would not like my quirks? Come on. I think curiosity, staying in a curious mode, is an antidote to judgment. So when we find ourselves judging people around us or situations, we can kind of go, oh yeah, let me stay in curiosity mode. And it's a real great mental shift that really changes things. And one fun exercise to do, which you guys may have done this, because we're energetic beings in physical bodies, when you're walking behind or beside somebody in a public space, start thinking amazingly good thoughts about them, like how attractive they are, how, valuable and wonderful they are. And I'm telling you, 9 times out of 10, they're going to turn around and look at you, sometimes with a curious look or a smile on their face.
Are you looking at my butt? Is that what they're going to think?
Absolutely.
It's a fun exercise. It's a really fun exercise.
I also would go back to what my first date with my wife was to Cheekwood, because we both love beauty. And I took her back, and she lived with her parents back then. And her father said, I've never seen you come home as happy from a date as you did then. Wow. And I think if you're doing what you like, Brian wants to go to a movie. So he's got to take a girl to a movie that appreciates the movie like he does. So he's not becoming what she expects or what you expect. You both are being honest with who you are and what you like. So if you can share that, you found the right person.
That's right. Because those tiny little lies, so to speak, Howard, of, well, he wants to have Chinese food. I don't really like Chinese food. I prefer this kind of food, but I'll go that way. And it's those little tiny things that put you off miles, a year or two later. So just, if you'll find your movie girl, Brian, you will.
Oh, I'm not worried about it. No. They're all out there. Believe me, it's the opposite now. I was holding them. Wait, the thing is, like, I'm still taking my time.
Things reverse with men and women. With men chase women when we're young, because there's a lot of women out there. I mean, men think. Let me rephrase that. The older we get, it reverses. The women are chasing the men. Because there's a lot more women than there are men. The other way around, there's a lot more women when we're young. So it's like it's reversed. It's like we're the ones being chased.
Hey, Howard, give your Facebook for everybody.
Howard Wiggins Facebook. It's plain and simple as that. You'll see me on Movies Review and more also. And I have 3 Facebooks. The one I want you to follow is just plain Howard Wiggins, not the Howard Wiggins Interior Design.
And for the record, his dance, his 12-second, the highest rated short that we have on Movie Reviews and More on YouTube, is 206,000 views. That's Howard dancing. He's got one that's got 7. He's got one that's got 5. He's got the one that's got 3. It's just unbelievable. And they go up every day. It's amazing. And how do I know? Because I keep track 3 to 4 times a day with that. Carol, give you social media links for everybody.
You can find me at Carol Register on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. I'm at NeuroCoach Carol on Instagram. And I want to mention the Giving Tuesday, the Better Vision for Children charity, which I'm on the board of. And it's about, I got tongue-tied. It's about preventing childhood blindness and also mentoring children in the foster care system. So if you're looking for a place to give, Better Vision for Children, and that's with the Easy Way Network.
And your podcast.
Unleashed and Unstoppable. Yeah, I'd love to have you join me. Reach out and text us. Let us know what you want to hear about. Give us a review. So I'd love it if you would definitely follow us, listen, and share what you love as well.
Ronnie?
Well, that's a new podcast I'm going to listen to now. I listen to podcast. I grew up listening to radio all the time. Remember radio?
Yes.
But I always had music on when and in the 80s when I used to do the aerobics. Now it's all about I walk or I work out with podcasts. So I'm going to check yours out. That's the next one I'm going to listen to, Carol, because I'm all about listening to all different kinds of podcasts. On Instagram, that's more for fun for me. I'll post certain things, like I posted about tonight's thing. I'm like, hey, if you're around at 5 or 8 p.m. Eastern, whatever, listen to this. So I'm on Instagram for fun under RonnieLo. Lo is for my last name, RonnieLo Life Coach. But mostly you'll find me on Facebook, Ronnie Loaiza, RonnieLo Life Coach, and on LinkedIn. I love LinkedIn. So yeah, hit me up on there and, other little social medias, but that's really where I am. And my website is RonnieLoLifeCoach.com. I'm a habit coach. I'm a life coach. I'm a fitness coach. And it's really, I know people say this, but things become a cliche for a reason. It is my passion. When Stefani says she loves what she does, I totally felt that coming from her. That's how I feel when I'm coaching people. And I see them actually transform, make the transformations that they want. It's not woo-woo, it's real.
Yeah.
Stephanie?
Oh, thanks, Ronnie. That was amazing. You can find me on Instagram. I am trying to build my Instagram following and putting a lot of meaningful content up there. So it's Stefani Seek Coach. And Stefani, for those of you who are just listening, is actually Stefani, kind of like how Gwen Stefani spells her last name, and then Seek, like seek and you shall find. So Stefani Seek Coach. And then you can also go to my website, stefaniseek.com. You will see a teaser. I am launching a very affordable group coaching program for women who are on their love attraction journey. It launches in May. If you have any questions, just contact me through the website and we'll get you in that. And I'm really excited to work with women in a bigger, more accessible way. So thanks for having me on, Brian. It's been wonderful.
Oh, it's all about women, If it weren't for women, me and Howard wouldn't be here. So as I always say, thank to our friend in Singapore who's chiming in tonight because I know she can't sleep. Our friend in Greece because I know she can't sleep. And I always say this. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Have a good night tonight. A better day tomorrow. You see someone without a smile, please give them one of yours because the world needs it. I'm Brian Sebastian. This is Movie Reviews and More, and we will see you next week.